A nation's strength. Not gold, but only men can make. A people great and strong. Men who for truth and honor's sake stand fast and suffer long. Brave men who work while others sleep, who dare while others fly. They build a nation's pillars deep and lift them to the sky.
Abu bin Adam. Abu bin Adam, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in a bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold, exceeding peace had made bin Adam bold, and to the presence in the room he said, what writest thou? The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord, answered the names of those who love the Lord. And is mine one? Said Abu. Nay, not so, replied the angel. Abu spoke more low, but cheerily still, and said, I pray thee then, write me as one that loves his fellow man. The angel wrote and vanished the next night. It came again with a great wakening light, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed, and lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest.
Beautiful hands. Such beautiful, beautiful hands. They are neither wide nor small. And you, I know, would scarcely think that they were fair at all. I have looked on hands whose form and hue a sculptor's dream might be. Yet are these aged, wrinkled hands most beautiful to me. Such beautiful, beautiful hands. Though heart were weary and sad, these patient hands kept toiling on, that the children might be glad. I almost weep when looking back to childhood's distant day. I think how these hands rested not when mine were at their play. Such beautiful, beautiful hands. They are growing feeble now, and time and pain have left their mark on hand and heart and brow. Alas, alas, the nearing time, and the sad, sad day to me, when neath the daisies out of sight, these hands must folded be. But oh, beyond the shadowy lands, where all is bright and fair, I know full well these dear old hands will palms of victory bear, when crystal streams through endless airs flow over golden sands, and where the old are young again, I'll clasp my mother's hand. Casabianca. The boy stood on the burning deck, whence all but he had fled. The flame that lit the battle's wreck shone round him over the dead. Yet beautiful and bright he stood, as born to rule the storm, a creature of heroic blood, a proud though childlike form. The flames rolled on, he would not go without his father's word. That father faint in death below. his voice no longer heard. He called aloud, say, Father, say, if yet my task is done. He knew not that the chieftain lay, unconscious of his son. Speak, Father, once again he cried, if I may yet be done, if I may yet be gone. And but the booming shot replied, and fast the flames rolled on. Upon his brow he felt their breath, and in his waving hair, and looked from the lone post of death, in still yet brave despair, and shouted but once more aloud, my father, must I stay, while over him fast, through sail and shroud, the wreathing fires made way. They wrapped the ship in splendor wild. They caught the flag on high, and streamed about the gallant child like banners in the sky. There came a burst of thunder's sound. The boy, oh, where was he? Asked of the winds that far around, with fragments strewed the sea, with mast and helm and pennon fair, that well had borne their part. But the noblest thing which perished there was that young faithful heart. From a railway carriage. Faster than ferries, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, all through the meadows, the horses and cattle, all of the sides of the hill and the plain, fly as thick as driven rain, and ever again, in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles, all by himself and gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and there is the green for stringing the daisies. Here is a cart run away in the road, lumping along with man and load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever.
I had reached your doorsteps. I lost the scroll of instructions you gave to guide me to the door of your house. I sat in distress on life's crossroad and asked the wayfarers and the caravans to show me the way to my destination. Some said the way was long and tortuous. You had said it is short and delectable. Others opined it was narrow, winding, and uphill. You had said it is straight and universal. They shouted, it is the dream of bigoted fanatics. You had said it is the ultimate reality. In a world that is worth but a moment. Then you came and handed me the chart. I found I was sitting at the very gate, not knowing I had reached your doorsteps. Incident of the French camp. You know, we French stormed Ratisbonne, a mile or so away. On a little mound, Napoleon stood on our storming day, with neck out thrust, you fancy how. legs wide, arms locked behind, as if to balance the prone bro, oppressive with its mind. Just as perhaps he mused my plans, that soar to earth my fall. Let once my army leader Lenin's waver at yonder wall. Out twixt the battery smokes there flew, a rider bound on bound, full galloping nor bridle drew, until he reached the mound. Then off there flung in smiling joy, and held himself erect, by just his horse, man a boy. You hardly could suspect, so tight he kept his lips compressed. Scarce any blood came through. You looked twice, or you saw his breast was all but shot in two. Well cried he in prayer, by God's grace, we have got you Ratisbon, the marshals in the marketplace, and you will be theirs anon, to see your flagbird flap his wings, were I to heart's desire. Past him the chief's eye flashed his plains, soared up again like fire. The chief's eye flashed, but presently softened itself as shades. Of him the mother eagle's eye, when her bruised eaglet breathes. You were wounded, nay his soldier's pride. Touched to the quick, he said, I am killed, sire, and his chiefs beside. Smiling, the boy fell dead.
King Bruce and the Spider. King Bruce of Scotland flung himself down, in a lonely mood to think. 'Tis true he was monarch and wore a crown, but his heart was beginning to sink, for he had been trying to do a great deed, to make his people glad. He had tried and tried, but couldn't succeed, so became quite sad. He flung himself down in a low despair, as grieved as man could be, and after a while, as he pondered there, I'll give it all up, said he. I'll give it all up, said he. Now, just at the moment, a spider dropped, with its silken cobweb clue, and the king, in the midst of his thinking, stopped to see what the spider would do. It was a long way up to the ceiling dome, and it hung by a rope so fine that how it would get to its cobweb home, King Bruce could not divine. It soon began to cling and crawl, straight up with strong endeavor, but down it came with a slippery sprawl, as near to the ground as ever. Up, up it ran, not a second could stay, to utter the least complaint, till it fell still lower, and there it lay, a little dizzy and faint. Its head grew steady, again it went, and travelled a half yard higher. 'Twas a delicate thread it had to tread, and rode where its feet would tire. Again it fell and swung below, but again it quickly mounted, till up and down, now fast, now slow. 9 brave attempts were counted. Sure, cried the king, that foolish thing will strive no more to climb, when it toils so hard to reach the cling, and tumbles every time. But up the insect went once more. Ah, me this an anxious minute. He is only a foot from his cobweb door. Oh, say, will he lose or win it? Steadily, steadily, inch by inch, higher and higher he got, and a bold little run at the very last pinch put him into his native cot. Bravo, bravo, the king cried out, all honor to those who try. The spider up there defied despair. He conquered, and why should not I? And Bruce of Scotland braced his mind, and gossips tell the tale that he tried once more as he tried before, and that time did not fail.
Lines from an essay on men. Heaven from all creatures hides the book of fate, all but the page prescribed their parents' state. From brutes what men, from when, what spirits know, or who could suffer being here below. The lamb they rode, dooms to bleed today. Had he the reason, would he skip and play? Pleased to the last, he copes the flowery food, and licks the hand just raised to shed his blood. O blindness to the future kindly given, that each may fill the circle miracle by heaven, who sees with equal eye as God of all. O hero perish, or a sparrow fall, atoms or systems into ruin hurled, and now bubble burst, and now a world. Hope humbly then, with trembling pinion sore, wait the great teacher death, and God adore. What future bliss he gives, not thee to know, but gives that hope to be the blessing now. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. Man never is, but always to be blessed. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. Lines from Endymion. Therefore, on every morrow are we breathing, a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman death, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, made for our searching, yes, in spite of all. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, such the sun, the moon, trees, old and young, sprouting a shady boom, for simple sheep, and such are daffodil, with the green world they live in, and clear rills, that for themselves a cooling covert make, gainst the hot season, the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty deed, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring unto us from the heaven's brink.
Lines from Samson Agonistes. He patient, he undaunted, where they led him, came to the place, and what was set before him, which without help of eye might be assayed, to heave, pull, draw, or break, he still perfumed, all with incredible, stupendous force, none daring to appear antagonist. At length of intermission sake they laid him between the pillars. He his guide requested, for so from such as nearer stood we heard, as overtired to let him lean a while, with both his arms on those two massy pillars, that to the arched roof gave main support. He unsuspicious led him, which when Samson felt in his arms, with head a while inclined, and eyes fast fixed, he stood as one who prayed, or some great matter in his mind revolved. At last, with head erect, thus cried aloud, Hitherto, lords, what your commands imposed, I have performed as reason was obeying, not without wonder or delight beheld. Now of my own accord such other trial. I mean to show you of my strength yet greater, as with amaze shall strike all who behold. This uttered, straining all his nerves he bowed, as with the force of winds and waters pent, when mountain tremble those two massy pillars, with horrible convulsion to and fro. He tugged, he shook, till down they came and drew the whole roof after them with burst of thunder upon the heads of all who sat beneath, lords, ladies, captains, counsellors, or priests, their choice, nobility, and flower not only of this but each Philistine city round, met from all parts to solemnize this feast. Samson, with these immixed inevitably, pulled down the same destruction on himself.
Lines from the deserted village. Sweet Auburn, loveliest village of the plain, where health and plenty cheered the laboring swain, where smiling spring its earliest visit paid, and parting summer's lingering blooms delayed. Dear lovely bowers of innocence and ease, seats of my youth, when every sport could please. How often have I loitered over the green, where humble happiness endeavored each scene. How often have I paused on every charm, the sheltered court, the cultivated farm, the never failing brook, the busy mill, the decent church that topped the neighboring, the hawthorn bush with seats beneath the shade, for talking age and whispering lovers maid. How often have I blessed the coming day, when toil remitting lent its turn to play, and all the village train from labor free led up their sports beneath the spreading tree. Will many a pastime circled in the shade, the young contending as the old surveyed, and many a gambol frolicked over the ground. The sleds of art and feats of strength went round, and still as each repeated, pleasure tired. Succeeding sports the mirthful band inspired. The dancing pair that simply sought renown by holding out to tear each other down. The swain, mistressless of his smoted face, while sacred laughter tittered round the place. The bashful virgins sighed long looks of love. The matrons glanced that would those looks reprove. These were the charms, sweet village sports like these, with sweet succession taught even toil to please. These round the bowers their cheerful influence shed. These were the charms, but all these charms are fled. These were the charms, but all these charms are fled. As the land to hastening ills of prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. Princes and lords may flourish or may fade. A breath can make them as a breath has made. But a bold peasantry, their country's pride, when once destroyed, can never be supplied. Lines from the Lay of the Last Minstrel. Breathes there the man with soul so dead, who never to himself had said, this is my own, my native land, whose heart had never within him burned. As home his footsteps he hath turned, from wandering on a foreign strand. If such their breath, go mark him well, for him no minstrel raptures swell. High though his titles, proud his name, boundless his wealth, as wish can claim. Despite those titles, power and pelf, the wretch consented at himself. Living shall forfeit fair renown, and doubly dying shall go down to the wild dust from whence he sprung, upwhipped, unhonored, and unsung. Lines from Ulysses. My mariners' souls that have told and wrought and thought with me that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine and opposed free hearts, free foreheads, you and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something are the end. Some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes, the slow moon climbs the deep. Mourns round with many voices, come my friends. 'Tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off and sitting well in order smite. The sounding furrows for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew, though much is taking, much abides, and though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Little things, little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. Little deeds of kindness, little words of love, make our world an Eden like the heaven above.
Lucy Gray. Oft I had heard of Lucy Gray, and when I crossed the wild, I chanced to see at break of day the solitary child. No mate, no comrade, Lucy knew. She dwelt on a wide moor, the sweetest thing that ever grew, beside a human door. You yet may spy the form at play, the hair upon the green, but the sweet face of Lucy Gray will never more be seen. Tonight will be a stormy night. You to the town must go, and take a lantern, child, to light your mother's through the snow. That, father, will I gladly do. 'Tis scarcely afternoon. The minster clock has just struck two, and yonder is the moon. At this the father raised his hook and snapped a faggot band. He plied his work, and Lucy took the lantern in her hand. Not glitter in the mountain row, with many a wanton stroke. Her feet disappear the powdery snow that rises up like smoke. The storm came on before its time. She wandered up and down, and many a hill did Lucy climb, but never reached the town. The wretched parents all that night went shouting far and wide, but there was neither sound nor sight to serve them for a guide. At daybreak on a hill they stood that overlooked the moor, and thence they saw the bridge of wood a flowing from their door. They wept, and turning homeward cried, in heaven we all shall meet. When in the snow the mother spied the print of Lucy's feet. Then downwards from the steep hill's edge they tracked the footmarks small, and through the broken hawthorn hedge, and by the long stone wall. And then an open field they crossed. The marks were still the same. They tracked them on nor even lost, and to the bridge they came. They followed from the snowy bank those footmarks one by one into the middle of the plank, and further there was none. Yet some maintain that to this day she is a living child, that you may see sweet Lucy Gray upon the lonesome wild. O'er rough and smooth she trips along, and never looks behind, and sings a solitary song that whistles in the wind. Music when soft voices die. Music when soft voices die vibrates in the memory, orders when sweet violets sicken. live within the sense they quicken. Rose leaves when the rose is dead are heaped for the beloved's bed, and so the thoughts when thou art gone, love itself shall slumber on. Say not the struggle not availeth. Say not the struggle not availeth. The labor and the wounds are vain. The enemy faints not, not failed, and as things have been they remain. If hopes were dupes, fears may be liars. It may be in yon smoke concealed. Your comrades chase even now the flyers, and but for you possess the field. For while the tired waves vainly breaking seem here no painful inch to gain, for back through creeks and inlets making comes silent flooding in the main, and not by eastern windows only. When daylight comes in the light. In front the sun climbs slow, how slowly, but westward look, the land is bright.
Speak gently. Speak gently, it is better for to rule by love than fear. Speak gently, let no harsh word mar the good we may do here. Speak gently to the little child, its love be sure to gain. Teach it in ashen, soft, and mild, it may not long remain. Speak gently to the aged one, grieve not the careworn heart, whose sands of life are nearly run. Let such in peace depart. Speak gently, 'tis a little thing, dropped in the heart's deep well. The good, the joy that it may bring, eternity shall tell.
The Abbot of Canterbury. An ancient story I'll tell you anon, of a notable prince that was called King John, and he ruled England with men and with might, for he did great wrong and maintained little right. And I'll tell you a story so merry, concerning the Abbot of Canterbury, how for his housekeeping and high renown they wrote post for him to fair London town. And 100 men the king did hear say, the abbot kept in his house every day, and 50 gold chains without any doubt, in velvet coats waited the abbot about. How now, Father Abbot, I hear it of thee, thou keepest a far better house than me, and for thy housekeeping and high renown, I fear thou workest treason against my crown. My liege, quoth the abbot, I would it were known. I never spend nothing but what is my own, and I trust your grace will do me no dare for spending of my own truth gotten gear. Yes, yes, Father Abbot, the fault it is high, and now for the same thou needest must die. For except thou canst answer my questions three. Thy head shall be smitten from the body. And first quoth the king, when I am in the stead, with my crown of gold so fair on my head, among all my liege men so noble of birth, thou must tell me to one penny what I am worth. Secondly, tell me without any doubt how soon I may ride the whole world about. And at the third question, thou must not shrink, but tell me here truly what do think. Oh, these are hard questions for my shallow wit, nor I cannot answer your grace as yet. But if you will give me but 3 weeks' space, I'll do my endeavor to answer your grace. Now 3 weeks' space to thee will I give, and that is the longest time thou hast to live. For if thou dost not answer my questions three, the lands and the living are forfeit to me. Away rode the abbot, all sad at that word, and he rode to Cambridge and Oxenford. But never a doctor there was so wise, that could with his learning an answer devise. Then home rode the abbot of comfort so cold, and he met his shepherd a going to fold. How now, my lord abbot, you are welcome home. What news do you bring us from good King John? Sad news, shepherd, I must give, that I have but 3 days more to live. For if I do not answer him questions three, my head will be smitten from my body. The first is to tell him there in that stead, with his crown of gold so fair on his head, among all his liege men so noble of birth, to within one penny of what he is worth. The second to tell him without any doubt how soon he may ride this whole world about. And at the third question I must not shrink to tell him there truly what he goes think. Now cheer up, Sir Abbot, did you never hear yet that a fool he may learn a wise man wit? Lend me horse and serving men and your apparel, and I'll ride to London to answer your quarrel. Nay, frown not if it had been told up to me. I am like your lordship as ever may be. And if you will but lend me your gown, there is none shall known as at fair London town. Now horses and serving men thou shalt have, with sympathies array most gallant and brave, with cruiser and mitre and rochet and cope, fit to appear for our father the Pope. Now welcome, Sir Abbot, the king did say, 'tis well thought, come back to keep the day. For and if thou can't answer my questions three, the life and the living both saved shall be. The first, when thou seest me here in this stead, with my crown of gold so fair on my head, among all my liege men so noble of birth, tell me to one penny what I am worth. For 30 penny our Saviour was sold among the false Jews, as I have been told, and 29 is the worth of thee, for I think though through one penny worser than he. The king he laughed and swore by Saint Beetle, I did not think I had been worth so little. Now, secondly, tell me without any doubt how soon I may ride this whole world about. You must rise with the sun and ride with the same until the next morning he riseth again. And then your grace need not make any doubt, but in 24 hours you will ride it about. The king he laughed and swore by St. John, I did not think it could be done so soon. Now from the third question, thou must not shrink, but tell me here truly what I do think. Yes, that shall I know and make your grace merry. You think I am the abbot of Canterbury, but I am his poor shepherd, as plain you may see, that I am come to beg pardon for him and for me.
The king he laughed and swore by the mass, I'll make thee Lord Abbot this day in his palace. Now nay, my liege, but not in such speed, for alack, I can neither write nor read. For nobles a week, then I will give thee, for this merry jest thou hast shown unto me. And tell the old abbot, when thou comest home, thou hast brought him a pardon from good King John. The character of a happy life. How happy is he born or taught, that serveth not another's will, whose armour in his honest thought, and simple truth his utmost skill, whose passions not his masters are, whose soul is still prepared for death, untied unto the world by care of public fame or private breath, who in wise none the chance doth raise, nor wise who never understood how deepest wounds are given by praise, nor rules of state but rules of good, who had his life from rumors freed, whose conscience is his strong retreat, whose state can neither flatters feed, nor ruin make oppressors great, who God doth let and early pray, more of his grace than gives to the land, and entertains the harmless day with a religious book or friend. This man is freed from servile bands of hope to rise or fear to fall. Lord of himself, thought not of lands, and having nothing yet at all. The hand that rocks the cradle in the hand that rules the world. Blessings on the hand of woman. Angels guard its strength and grace. In the palace, cottage, hovel. Oh, no matter where the place. Would that never storms assailed it. Rainbows ever gently curled. For the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. In fancies, the tender fountain, power may with beauty flow. Mothers first to guide the streamlets, from them souls unresting grow. Grow on for the good or evil, sunshine streamed or evil hurled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Woman, how divine your mission, here upon our natal sword. Keep, oh, keep the young heart open, always to the breath of God. All true trophies of the age are from mother's love impaired. For the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Blessings on the hand of woman. Fathers, sons, and daughters cry, and the sacred song is mingled with the worship in the sky. Mingles where no tempest darkens. Rainbows evermore are hurled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world.
The lost star. The bell of my being was small indeed, but there began the infinitude of God with its endless immensity. In the mirror of eternity, countless cities and deserts throbbed within me. Many constellations shone lustrously. I was larger than the world, which I held in the grip of my fingers. What has happened now? Who am I? An insignificant, an insignificant atom in a chaotic cosmos. Someone has drugged my soul, and another has stolen my light. No longer I am the same I was. I now reason with truth, argue with the irrefutable, blur with doubt the mirror of reality, demolish the image of the Almighty. I am another man of the race of the damned. I am the dead man, and I wander in visionary worlds in search of the primal spark that lent light to the star that I have lost. The man of life upright. The man of life upright, whose guiltless heart is free from all dishonest deeds or thoughts of vanity. The man whose silent days in harmless joys are spent, whom hopes cannot delude nor sorrow discontent. That man needs neither towers nor armor for defense, nor sacred walls to fly from thunder's violence. He only can behold with unaffrighted eyes the horrors of the deep and terrors of the skies, thus scorning all the cares that fate or fortune brings. He makes the heaven his book, his wisdom heavenly things. Good thoughts, his only friends, his wealth, a well spent age. The earth is sober in and quiet pilgrimage.
The man who wins. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you are dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you will lose, you are lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You have got to think high to rise. You have got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battle don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But soon or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. The Minstrel Boy. The minstrel boy to the war is gone. In the ranks of death you will find him. His father's sword he has girded on, and his wild harp slung behind him. Land of song, said the warrior bard, though all the words betrays thee. One sword at least thy rights shall guard, one faithful harp shall praise thee. The minstrel fell, but the foeman's chain could not bring his proud soul under. The harp he loved never spoke again, for he tore its chord asunder, and said, no chains shall sully thee, thou soul of love and bravery. Thy songs were made for the pure and free, they shall never sound in slavery.
The seven ages of men, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exist and their entrance, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being seven ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, then the winning schoolboy with his satchel, and shining morning face creeping like a snail, unwillingly to school, and then the lover, singing like Fernance with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress eyebrow than a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern intenses. And so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved a world to wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble pipes, and whistles in his sound last scene of all, that ends this strange eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion, sense teeth, sense eyes, sense taste, sense everything. The solitary reaper. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by himself, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and blinds the grains, and sings a melancholy strains. Oh, listen, for the well profound is overflowing with the sound. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. A voice so a voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old, unhappy, far off things and battles long ago. Or is it some more humble or is it some more humble ray, familiar matter of today? Some natural sorrow, loss, or pain that has been and may be again. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, and over the sickle bending. I listened, motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. The toys. My little son who looked from thoughtful eyes and moved and spoke in quiet grown up wise. Having my law the seventh time disobeyed, I struck him and dismissed with hard words and unkissed. His mother, who was patient, being dead, then fearing lest his grief should hinder sleep, I visited his bed, but found him slumbering deep, with darkened eyelids and their lashes yet, from his late sobbing wet, and I with moan, kissing away his tears, left other of my own. For on a table drawn beside his head, he had put within his reach a box of counters, a red veined stone, a piece of glass abraded by the breach, and 6 or 7 shells, a bottle with bluebells, and 2 French copper coins ranged there with careful art, to comfort his sad heart. So when that night I prayed to God, I wept and said, "Ah, when at last we lie with tranced breath, not vexing thee in death, and thou rememberest of what toys we made our joys, how weakly understood the great commanded good, then fatherly not less, than I whom thou hast moulded from the clay, though it leave the wreath and say, I will be sorry for their childishness."
The uses of adversity. Fairer in the manuscript, when reed is clipped, clearer runs the message when there's a trimming of the pen. Dimly burns the lantern but when its wick is cut. Perfect will its lustre be through the wick's deficiency. There's a good time coming. There's a good time coming, boys. A good time coming. We may not live to see the day, but earth shall glisten in the ray of the good time coming. Cannonballs may aid the truth, but throw a weapon stronger. We will win our battle by its aid. Wait a little longer. There's a good time coming, boys. A good time coming. The pen shall supersede the sword, and right, not might, shall be the Lord. In the good time coming, worth, not birth, shall rule mankind, and be acknowledged stronger. The proper impulse has been given. Wait a little longer. There's a good time coming, boys. A good time coming. War in all men's eyes shall be a monster of iniquity. In the good time coming, nations shall not quarrel then, to prove which is the stronger, not slaughter men for glory's sake. Wait a little longer. There's a good time coming, boys, a good time coming. Let us aid it all we can. Every woman, every man, the good time coming. Smallest helps, if rightly given, make the impulse stronger. Tea will be strong enough one day. Wait a little longer. Under the greenwood tree. Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and turn his merry knot unto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather, who doth ambition shun, and loves to live I the sun, seeking the food he eats, and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather.
Upon Westminster's Bridge. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul who could pass by, a sight so touching in its majesty. This city now doth like a garment wear, the beauty of the morning silent bear. Ships, towers, domes, theatres, and temples lie upon unto the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering in the smokeless air. Never did sun more beautifully steep in his first splendor in his first splendor valley, rock on hill. Never saw, I never felt a calm so deep. The river glittered at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is laying still.